Holy smokes, we're coming in hot with breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. It appears that Joy Reid has been canceled. And I don't mean canceled by the public or public opinion. No, I mean the Joy Reid Out show has officially been canceled by MSNBC. I kid you not. This comes at a time, of course, when there is tremendous ratings issues from not just CNN, but also MSNBC also struggled a little bit there after that presidential election. But even prior to the presidential election, I did warn people that their numbers were slipping. One would have thought that now that Donald Trump is president, that these particular networks that are more left-leaning would be picking up in the ratings. But apparently, I don't know, folks. I don't know. We have to get into this clip here. Let's go ahead and bring this in from Hot Spot. Thank you so much for the clip.
MSNBC has canceled Joy Reid's 7 o'clock show, Reid Out.
No!
As part of a major overhaul by the network, MSNBC has canceled Joy Reid's 7 o'clock show, Reid Out.
No!
As part of a major overhaul by the network's new regime. Reid, an unabashed liberal, mainstay, in fact, you could argue, and an emphatic Trump critic, will be replaced by a new show hosted by former Obama staffer and Bernie Sanders backer Simone Sanders Townsend, also former RNC chair Michael Steele, and Alicia Menendez, the daughter of disgraced New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez. Reid has been a host of the network since 2016.
So let's pause here for a second. So this is really interesting. It appears that, yes, Joy Reid's show Reid Out has been canceled, but she is being replaced by Simone Sanders, who's already on MSNBC, but they're moving their time slot. I'll get into the details in just a second. Simone Sanders, I believe, Menendez daughter, and this is the daughter of Senator Menendez, who was just convicted. The fraud charges and all that jazz. You guys remember that story? Her and, of course, Michael Steele. So they are pushing Joy Reid out and they are moving them into that time spot. Of course, this is Fox News. You know they're going to get a kick out of this one. Let's get into a little bit more here about the details of how these things seem to unfold, shall we, ladies and gentlemen? Let's dive right in here. MSNBC cancels Joy Reid's lefty show as network makes major shakeup. So I don't know if I would call Joy Reid's show lefty, but you know how these things go, guys. You know how these things go. MSNBC liberal mainstay Joy Reid's show has been canceled as part of a major overhaul by the network's new president, Rebecca Cutler, according to a report. So here we go. I'm seeing similar patterns with MSNBC that happened with CNN. So they have a new president of the network, a new person that's coming in. Obviously, you guys know the ratings have been a factor. And so this individual, Rebecca, is wanting to make some changes, and she's going to make changes that she feels is going to help the network grow. It's going to help their ratings. Now, even Joy Reid's show, which was one of the more popular shows on MSNBC, also saw a decline in ratings. And I went through those list of shows, whether it was Rachel Maddow's show, Joy Reid's show, All In with Chris Hayes, like all of them saw a decline in ratings, particularly last year. The 7 p.m. program hosted by ardent Trump critic Reid, 56, will be replaced by a new panel show featuring, of course, Alicia Menendez, Michael Steele, Simone Sanders, Townsend, and this is interesting, folks. Joy Reid has been on MSNBC for quite some time. She's had a lot of experience doing this, but again, like I said, Kamala Harris losing the election, it has obviously caused some sort of a hit for CNN and MSNBC, but they were already seeing decline before Kamala Harris lost the election. And obviously that loss made it inevitably that they would not be able to recover from where they were But Donald Trump winning the White House should have caused these channels to have some sort of an increase in the ratings. I think what is starting to happen is that more people are moving away from corporate media and they're moving towards independent media. I mean, I've noticed a difference. I think many people that I know who are independent media commentators, and I mean independent ones now, have also noticed a difference. There are newer eyes that are coming in, people who are, I guess, seeking for information that maybe they did not see on corporate media, looking for a different take in some way, shape, or form. But that has been happening, and it increased for, I think, many of us, not just right before the presidential election, and then things would typically taper down after that. But also after the presidential election, there are a number of people who I think are just looking for answers and to see if there was anyone else that was out there that got this right or predicted that Kamala was not going to win. They're looking for answers in some way, shape, or form. Now, I want to go into a little bit more here, because it is not a good day for Joy Reid. You'll see here's an older picture here of Joy Reid and Michael Steele. By the way, Michael Steele also used to be a part of the Republican Party. So she's been around for quite some time. The final episode of Reid's show, The Reid Out, will air sometime this week, ending a mainstay of MSNBC's lineup for the past 5 years. MSNBC declined to comment. Of course, they did. It marks the first large shakeup by MSNBC's new president Cutler since she took over the liberal network earlier this month, as it looks to double down on its lefty agenda during the second Trump administration. And this is the part that's very telling, right? They're looking to double down on a left agenda during Trump's administration. So if you're looking to double down on the left agenda, you would not cancel Joy Reid's show unless there are ratings issues. And like I said, her ratings were also starting to decline. And again, I wouldn't necessarily call these individuals left. Simone Sanders was a part of Bernie's campaign. I would call her a mole, a part of that campaign. Totally there to mess things up, sold that out, and then went to go work for Joe Biden and was hoping to become his press secretary. Didn't work out. So they gave her this gig at MSNBC to basically shut her up and make sure that she's happy. Right? So that's what we have here. I would not call these individuals lefties. They are not lefties. They are there to support the status quo, but the status quo just cannot be Donald Trump. So that's what they're there to do. Now, I want to go on a little bit. It says, Reid, one of the most prominent Trump bashers in mainstream media, has been a long-serving anchor at the network, hosting the weekend talk show AM Joy since 2016, before being named anchor of the 7 p.m. slot in 2020. She has made a series of infamous rants in recent months, including telling Trump supporters to make your own dinner at Thanksgiving, saying they should suffer the consequences of your votes. Cutler is making other major changes at MSNBC as she looks to change the fortunes of the networks where ratings have consistently trailed behind Fox News. What did I tell you? Alex Wagner, who has hosted weeknights at 9 p.m., is also losing her anchor chair after Rachel Maddow returned to 5 days a week at the network to cover the first 100 days of the Trump administration. So, okay. I mean, we are really seeing some shakeup here. This is Rebecca Cutler. And she is definitely making some changes. Maddow is set to return to anchoring just 1 day a week on Mondays later this year. In December, Nielsen Media Research revealed that Reid had lost almost half her viewers since the election of Donald Trump. The MSNBC seeing a whopping 53% drop in primetime viewership following the November 5th result, before rebounding somewhat in the 4 weeks following the presidential inauguration. So again, why did this happen? Because people felt like they were lied to, right? There were shows like Joy Reid's, and she's not the only one, that gave people this impression that Kamala Harris was going to walk away with this thing. They gave people the impression that Kamala had it in the bag, and people felt misled. So people are like, I don't know if I want to watch this anymore because you guys are just lying to us, right? So you can see there's a picture here of Jen Psaki. We'll get into what's happening with her. That same month, MSNBC reportedly offered some of its prominent stars, including Reid as well as Stephanie Rue, major pay cuts if they wanted to remain in the anchor chairs. So they're starting with the pay cut there. One of Reid's replacement in the 7 p.m. slot, Sanders, was previously a spokesperson for Kamala Harris before being hired by MSNBC in 2022. So you see what they're doing, how they move these wheels. People just come from the political side and then they become anchors. They're not journalists. It's not like they necessarily went to journalist school. You know what I mean? Cutler, a former senior executive at CNN, has made it clear that MSNBC faced unique challenges as it looks to work with a Trump White House and prepares to be spun off into a new publicly traded company along with other NBCU cable networks. And we've talked about that as well. That is Alex Wagner in the picture there. MSNBC and some of its cable networks are being spun out by Comcast. So we talked about that. As part of these changes, Cutler is expected to announce a new MSNBC bureau in Washington, D.C. in the coming months, where the company is hiring for a new Washington bureau chief, as well as new heads of talent, news gathering, and content strategy. In other words, Cutler is basically coming in to clean house. She's coming in to remove the old, out with the old, bring in some new to try to shake things up so that MSNBC can get better ratings. I don't know if it's necessarily going to work, but that's what it seems like she's willing to do here. Our jobs are hard on a normal day, and these are not normal times, Cutler told MSNBC employees on the first day of her role. And she was announced by Mark Lazarus. You can see a picture here of there's Jen Psaki, and it goes on to say it's going to be hard, but it's also going to be exciting, interesting, and really important time to do what all of us do. Among the other shakeups expected, weekend host and former White House press secretary Jen Psaki will anchor one of the primetime hours during the week. A source familiar with the changes told the Post. Cutler, in her previous role as MSNBC's senior vice president of content strategy, spearheaded both Townsend and Psaki when they joined the network 3 years ago. So Joy Reid is out, ladies and gentlemen. It also seems like there's cuts being made to Alex Wagner as well, and they are moving forward in a different direction. These are interesting times, ladies and gentlemen. What did I tell you before? I told you that corporate media was struggling. I told you that corporate media was dying. And I think had Kamala Harris won the presidential election, they probably wouldn't have had, I would say their ratings probably wouldn't have fallen as far as they did, because the ratings were already starting to decline before the presidential election. But because Kamala won, people feel like they were misled. People feel like they were lied to. And they're turning to other people, right? They're turning to independent media. It's really interesting what Eli says here. Eli Mistel, what a boy. I owe the television part of my career to Joy Reid, as do many other Black voices y'all never would have heard of, if not for her. And that's why she's gone. They can treat Black folks as interchangeable, but everybody Black knows that Joy was indispensable. No, that's not why she's gone. Listen, I'm all for, calling out the way that Black people are treated in media. I deal with it also in independent media, but that's not why she's gone. Okay. They also announced Alex Wagner is also going to be gone. So, okay. Alex Wagner is not Black. That's not it. Her show dropped significantly in the ratings. It's a primetime show. So the way that it works particularly in media, corporate media, the primetime show is the show that's getting the most views. That's why you have that slot, because you can attract the most viewers, right? At one point that was Don Lemon, that was Chris Cuomo. At one point that was Tucker Carlson on Fox News. When it gets to the point where you are dropping in the ratings, where it's like down like 53%, et cetera, you are no longer bringing in views. In fact, the network would probably say you are costing them money. So they are going to move in a different way. This happens more often than people realize. So it's not just, this isn't a let's pick on Joy Reid thing. The ratings continue to tank. She has to go. Okay, so it's happened to other people as well, not just Joy Reid. But it's interesting that he wants to bring up, oh, it's a black person thing, because Bree retweeted this and she said she once blacklisted a booker because they suggested me for a segment. But I'm sorry for everyone else's loss. So obviously, Joy was not trying to bring on a certain type of black person. She wasn't trying to bring on Bree. So, you know, this just kills me. Again, they're looking for people who are pro-Democrat, not necessarily pro-black. And that's important for people to understand. But part of me kind of wonders if Joy Reid had a feeling that this was coming, because this was brought to my attention. If you go onto YouTube, I don't think many people are aware, Joy Reid started a podcast. Do you guys know this? Joy Reid started a podcast called Read This, Read That. And it's her and her daughter. And if I just click on here, you can see when this was created. This channel was created October 20th, 2024. So this is prior to the presidential election day. So it makes me wonder, did she know or have a feeling that this was probably going to happen? I mean, she sees her numbers just like you see those numbers, you know? So she has this podcast with her daughter. And as you can see here, I mean, talking about all different types of things, Kendrick, Kanye, where's Kamala thing, and okay, ladies, now let's get information. Anyway, long story short, she started this podcast. So that's why I'm wondering if maybe she knew that this was going to be the result because of the ratings. All right. So these anchors, they're looking at their numbers just like I look at the numbers to report to you. So I wouldn't say, if she tries to come up with a story and says that she was totally blindsided, look, I'm not buying that. I would say that I think usually you have a little bit of an inkling. Usually they say something to you about your numbers, you know, something like that. Or she's looking at the numbers and she's been doing this long enough to know how this works. So Joy Reid is out, ladies and gentlemen. They are moving Simone, Michael, and Menendez, Alicia Menendez in that time slot. And again, it just goes to show you more people are moving away from corporate media. They are losing the view. Guys, this is what we need. This is what we need to bring more truth to people. Corporate media is dying, and it has been a slow death, but it's finally, I think, you know, speeding up the rate a little bit here. And that's exactly what you want. You want people to venture out and to look to other sources, not necessarily because we want the views or the subs, but you want people to get other pieces of information that corporate media is omitting. And they've been omitting information. They've been lying to you for years. And so I think it's a good day for independent media. Not a good day for Joy. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.